Welcome everybody to the Jay Mirando Show. I'm here with the real estate rock star herself, Shelby Johnson. How are you doing, Shelby?
I'm so excited to be here in your house in Las Vegas.
Yes, and just like I'm talking about, intro's taking 2 takes, but love that. I was
you
the
said
first.
5.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing better than normal.
That's right.
Well, let's take our time first. But, the first in-person podcast of Real Estate Rockstars was right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was 5 minutes ago.
Sweet.
So good.
I remember it like it was yesterday. But it was today. So my memory's getting pretty bad. I've known you for a while now. And I want to get to how you had other podcasts where you like effed up the whole entire like Airbnb thing for Fayetteville.
Yep.
But tell me a little bit how you got started in real estate investing.
Yeah, dude. Okay. So I was in the Army for 6 years, and this is 2012 through 2018. And it was towards the end of my Army experiences that anyone's who's been in the military, you know that like you start getting like really frustrated with inefficiencies and the fact that they treat you like you're a total child. And so I was looking ahead to the next 5, 10, 15 years of what my life would be by like looking at other people in those ranks. And I was like, I do not want that life. And so started looking for other things, and I fell into Bigger Pockets and Robert Kiyosaki, and I started just chugging the Kool-Aid, and I was like, fuck the Army, I'm getting out. And so I told them a year in advance. And during that year of prep, I was like, I'm going to be an investor first, but I need a way to make money. So I'll just get my real estate license. It'll be easy money on the side, and just, you know, and buy everything and have financial freedom and ride off into the sunset.
And it is easy. And your first year,
okay.
So you're, no. Let's talk about how easy it is. Your first year, you did how many deals as a realtor?
48.
48?
Yeah.
And then when I first heard that, I was so blown away. Can you say how much profit you made off that 48?
$152,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is really sad, by the way.
Yeah.
For listeners.
If it was in Vegas right now, you'd be making like $480,000 off that.
Yeah. Because 48 is a shit ton of transactions, but my average sales price was $155,000.
Yeah, because Fayetteville. Yeah.
That's right.
But even nowadays, with how much, like with real estate prices blowing up 40%, like just between the beginning of COVID to the end of COVID,
yeah,
like there's just so much money in being a realtor right now.
If you're good, if you can close deals, because most agents, it's like 90% at least, don't do shit and just end up quitting.
Well, I was telling you before how like, you know, top 20% to 8% of the deals, but if you go to the 80th percentile of realtors, it's about like 5 transactions with like 1.7 million in volume, which is like really, really bad. Yeah. Really bad in Las Vegas right now.
For sure.
But actually it was 1.7 with 4 transactions, but when I saw that, it was like September or October. So they still had like 2 more months to go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But still, they weren't selling much in those 2 months.
No.
But 48 is insane for 1 year. That's why you don't think real estate is easy. But you blew up.
It's really hard. Yeah.
Did you do that while you were still in the military?
No. So I got out right in January of 2018. And so that was year 1. And by the end of the year, I also had 16 units in my rental portfolio.
Yeah. So that's what I want to talk about, because you did have up to 70 or 80?
74
rentals.
Yeah.
And then now you sold off some of the other ones and have like 40 something?
45 in a primary.
45 in primary.
Yeah.
So I want to walk through that, because that is a shit ton of rentals. For anybody who's listening, that's probably like, they're probably like, man, if I just had like 5, I'd be good. Okay. But you have like 45.
Well, less is more in a lot of ways. I mean, more. So when I first got into this, I was like, I want 100 doors. It was just this, you know, number that I thought sounded cool. And then, what you realize is that it's really not about the number of doors, it's about the lifestyle that it provides you. And if you have a shit ton of property, like when I had 74, you know, there was a chunk of that, 21 units that was a portfolio of 7 triplexes, and they were like in, let's be real, like a D neighborhood. Sometimes I'm like, it was like a C minus. No, it was like a fucking D neighborhood. And the numbers looked amazing on paper. But it's just like the problems that you deal with and the lifestyle in which you have, even though of course I had a property manager, like I have the contractor team, like I had all of the people, but you still can't like outsource and delegate everything. The big problems still rise to the top. And so, you know, that I wanted to get off my plate. So I sold it at the peak. And then I also had this 8-unit historic property that was all short-term rentals in it, which had a lot of potential, but ended up selling that as well because for a lot of reasons. We can talk about short-term rentals. We can talk about historic properties. But anyway, getting those off my plate, I shut down all 18. I'd up to 18 short-term rentals at a time, shut them all down. So now my 45 are just nice, solid, like B-class properties with a long-term property manager. And that's fucking it. And it's great.
Less problems, less CapEx.
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about on the flipping side of things on Real Estate Rockstars, where like when you get too into the weeds, it takes up all your time and attention.
Totally.
Those rentals just, I've had people buy rentals in Ohio for like 60, 70,000 and they rent it out for 1,100 a month. And you're like, okay, well, you should be cleaning up. You should just be printing money. And they're like, yeah, we don't really make a lot of money because there's always the roof needs to be fixed and then this and another problem.
Well, I mean, full disclosure, even with my 45 now, like I don't take any cash flow from them. So like, you know, I have different LLCs and different bank accounts, but when the money comes in, I don't even look at it because even for instance, this year, so I bought my first quad in 2018 and I remember walking in and being like, oh, the roof has 5 more years, you know, and bought the property, no issue. 5 years fucking comes. And so that's what happened last year. And, you know, I had to replace a roof on this quad that was over 4,000 square feet. And last year in 2023, I ended up actually putting in $50,000 into that one quad between the roof, a tenant turnover that was just a total wreck, a lot of like the draining issues and crawl space issues under the house. And so like all that to say, like if you're getting into rentals and you're like, I'm just going to buy some rentals and live off my $200 in cash flow a door. It's like, no, I believe that rental investing is a long game, and I'm not going to touch that money until it's time to cash out down the road or whatever down the road.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more lucky about being in Vegas because we don't have anything. We don't have storms. We don't have rain, no snow. Like we just don't have the CapEx that other places have.
Yeah.
You could even have a shingle roof out here. It'll still last. They say 10 years, but it's like 20 years, you know?
Yeah.
Like nothing happens to it.
Must be nice, Jay Mirando.
It's so, you know what? It didn't feel nice. I'm like, man, I'm only making a few hundred a month, but at least I get to keep it.
Yeah.
At least I get to keep my few hundred a month. But still, 45 doors is a lot. How did you get to that type of number? Like what did...
A lot of different ways. And some of them are multis, you know? So I have duplexes, quads, a 5-unit within that makeup of 45. And then some single families. Those were all of like my burr and Bs that I did. But how I acquired them, a lot of them are burrs. So just bought them, renovated them, and cashed out on the refinanced into 30-year fixed on the back end. Yeah. And we did that like through courthouse foreclosures, buying on the MLS back in the glory days when it was a really like literally $40,000 properties on the MLS all the time. Wow. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, a bunch of different ways.
Yeah. And then I mean, I'm probably jumping the gun. Actually,
That's
which
okay.
one was
Dude,
your
we can jump.
which one was your most profitable method? Like, out of all the methods that you were doing, what's the one where you're like, hey, that's my bread and butter. This is what I'm cleaning up with?
It was the burr and B strategy, which was, you know, a traditional burr. And then instead of the long-term rental at the end, you do short-term rental. Yeah. Because in Fayetteville, this you know, Fort Bragg is where I got out of the Army. And so I stayed in Fayetteville. And when I first started doing the burr and B, it was in 2019, and there were 80 Airbnbs in all of Fayetteville, which there's a lot of pull for having short-term rentals in Fayetteville, which I can talk about if you want to. But I did that, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like, this takes a burr deal, like a clean burr, which is solid. Everyone's happy about it anyway. And then you add the short-term rental in the back end and increase the income. I was like, this is a fucking slam dunk. This is amazing. But then I got too loud on the internet and I just fucked it up for myself. Yeah.
So what happened? You went, you were cleaning up. You had your own thing that only you knew about. Then you went on to Bigger Pockets and you let the whole entire world know about it. And now it went from 80 Airbnbs
there's
on
over
market.
800 the last time I checked.
Now there's over 800.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's Fayetteville. I can't support all of that. I mean, there was reasons of why it worked so well in the beginning, but we don't need 800 Airbnbs in Fayetteville.
Because even at the beginning, like nobody would be like, hey, Fayetteville is not a vacation destination. Totally. But the reason why you would have an Airbnb in the first place is because there's so many people visiting their family at Fort Bragg. Like I think Felice was running through the numbers one time where it's like, there's this many people of like new unique visitors who's just visiting their family and they don't have a hotel to stay at.
Right. Or they want a house because they want to like visit for Thanksgiving and have their soldier over and like make it feel like home and cook the Thanksgiving dinner. And you can't do that in a hotel. So it made sense in a lot of ways. But yeah, being loud on the internet is like all fun and games until it's not. And it wasn't just me. I mean, there's other people screaming about it on the internet, but sometimes it's best to
same thing with like some of this. Yeah. There's I was telling you about some of the things that were like people got in early, like the people who I knew from text messaging made millions of dollars from text message marketing to get real estate deals. And then once everybody else figured it out, now you just don't get it. And now there's so much spam in text messaging that people don't even look at their text messages anymore.
Yeah.
Where like back in 2018, the open rate was like 98%, 99%. You're always getting a response. You're always getting a text back. And they didn't treat you like you were just a robot who was texting them. To where now, every place where I ever gave my email and phone number, they give me like a text, hey, sale on these clothes on a weekly basis. Yeah,
it's so annoying.
Yeah.
Well, and that's exciting too, because it's like, what's the next thing? And I was just talking, do you know Ziana?
No.
Ziana McIntyre, she is like the short-term queen. I don't know. That's probably bold to say. But for Bigger Pockets, she did a book on medium-term rental, The 30-Day Stay. She wrote that book. And she's just like speaking for Bigger Pockets and stuff like that. But she was talking about the pivot. I thought that was really interesting too, about how like whatever you're doing in real estate, you know, back in the day when I first got into short-term rentals, I was like, Airbnb's it. Like, I'm going to be doing this forever. And nothing lasts forever. You know, you get into something and it's good while it is, but you kind of have to always be pivoting as to what's next. And I think that's what you meant, like with Zillow leads, with Facebook leads, with the texting. So it's like, I
think for realtors, you have to evolve to the new thing or you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
And then with realtors, just like there's a book by Russell Brunson called ClickFunnels. And he just talks a lot about how like, hey, back in the day, Google ads were super cheap. But then once they got enough people, then they raised the price like 10x the price. And then Facebook ads were really cheap and this was really cheap. And YouTube ads were really cheap. That's how Ty Lopez was like, here in my garage, got this new Lamborghini here. He blew up off of a few pennies and now YouTube ads are really, really expensive, right? And you have to get in on the ground floor. I told you what I think is coming next is the AI.
Have you told your listeners?
I haven't told my listeners. I think so. The one guy, we're getting me on the AI thing. He's building it out. We're feeding it the scripts, and then we're going to feed it the lists. We're going to see how many deals I get. And then after a month, I'm going to be like, I got this many deals. But I'm kind of fucking it up for myself, honestly.
Oh, by already sharing it on multiple podcasts?
If I get one deal from it, then it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, doing the AI thing. But if I get like 10 deals in 1 month, it's almost like, oh, that's the golden goose.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and the AI thing, you keep saying the AI thing. You're talking about actually using AI to call sellers for you.
Shelby, if you talk to these people, actually, like you might be able to know it's a real person. If 70-year-old Susie is listening to an AI cold caller, she thinks it's a real person. And these AI people, like you can train. A lot of people use like Filipino VAs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people might use Americans to do their cold calls or people like in their own town. AI, they are feeding them all the sales scripts. Like take somebody who has read every book by Zig Ziglar, every book by Grant Cardone, every book by Jordan Belfort, every sales closing book in the world. They have all that knowledge. AI has infinite knowledge. You have all the greatest and best sales training, and they actually follow the script with great tonality. And these are the people who are calling all the clients. They're better than real people most of the time. And you can give them any accent or voice you want. They could have British accent, Australian, Southern Belle, California girl, or something like that. It's insane. And I want to see how it works.
Dude. Okay, so side note though, I've always wanted that for myself. Like I've wanted, like for years, I've imagined taking like a USB and that's filled with everything that I want to know and like putting it into my brain and then just having that knowledge. That's like what I've been dreaming of for my life.
And you're just really sad that AI is living out your dream?
Yeah. Yeah. There was really no point to my story other than I just fucking want that.
I hate how some people get to live out my dreams.
Yeah.
These damn computers.
Yeah, exactly.
But you did all those Yeah. So I'm really excited about AI and where that's going to go.
Yeah.
But we were talking about how she's saying, what's the pivot? So is she saying...
She's doing like sub 2 creative finance stuff right now.
I hate them so much, but yeah.
Yeah. I hate them so much. Oh, please tell.
So like talking about how things get popular, right? And then, by the way, all the respect in the world for Pace Morby. He's brilliant. He's a genius. But he is running a fucking cult, right? This whole Gator lending thing. We go to a real estate meetup. They're all like,
this shit, by the way.
I'm a Gator lender. I'm this. And it's like, what is a Gator lender? They're like, that means I take your money. And then some other guy steps in. I'm like, what is a Gator lender? Oh, we put in like, you know, these notes on people's deals, you know, but we don't go through these means. We put these offing notes. Okay, so you're a private lender, like every private lender who's ever existed since the fucking beginning of time, okay? In the age of Babylon, they had private lenders who would lend you money to buy more copper. You know what I mean? This has always existed. You didn't make up shit. You branded it perfectly with Gator lending, okay? This is if I come out with like, you know, dragon flipping or some shit like that. You're giving it a fancy name. You're like, he's making it so clever and these people are buying into it. But he only talks about, I even talked about this. I shouldn't say it. I will say it. I talked about this with Mindy Jensen, right? And she talked about all the Gator people who were at the last Bigger Pockets conference. And he only talks about the upside, but he doesn't talk about what could go wrong. I bought a subject to last year where, you know, hey, great deal. The rental cash flow is like crazy. It's nuts. I'm pocketing like $600, $700 a month. But the old owner wouldn't give me their fucking login information for their bank account. And then we can't talk to the bank account. And then sure, we could maybe go through like this other way that maybe we could send the check there and go there. But like, how are you going on auto pay? Because anything in life that's easy to do is easy not to do. So even though, yeah, you could just call and make payments yourself, which by the way, they don't take payments with business checkbooks or business credit cards. So you can't use your business account. You got to put it in your own personal name, which is more liability, even though you own it in your business's name. Nobody's talking about all the fine points. And if they just talked about the fine points, I'd be more okay with it. And I've been doing subject to since before it was cool.
Yeah.
But you have to know that there's downside. You have to know about the ins and outs. And they're doing... what was the line that you said that was like so brilliant? Like if it's simple, it scales.
Simple scales, fancy fails.
Yeah, simple scales, fancy fails. If you have to do all these steps to make a deal profitable, just buy it for fucking 10,000 less. Well, we can't get it for 10,000 less. You just ask for it to be 10,000 less. And they'll just say yes. People just say yes to things. And if they say no, then the next person will just say yes. Okay? If a house has an ARV of 500,000, you're offering like, maybe it could be a deal at 400,000. Just offer 350. And they're like, no, I won't do that. That's crazy. But if you ask 100 people that,
yeah, maybe
2 are going to say yes. And you just get it for cheaper. It sounds, when I first got into this, I'm like, no, they're never going to sell it to me for that. The more that I flip houses, I'm like, you could just say fucking anything and someone's going to agree to it. I bought houses for wild numbers before. And you're like, Jay, this is insane. Who would ever say yes to that? They do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because, I mean, well, first of all, the answer is always no unless you ask. My dad taught me that. No. And so just asking and throwing it out there, kind of like what you said about telling the world that you're in flipping, telling the world, whatever you want to do, you have to ask before you can get it back. Anyway, yeah, Drake and I, we've done, you know, we went through 2022 of like direct to seller marketing and doing wholesales and flips and stuff. And it is surprising at what people will say yes to. But the things that I think when people are talking about like the low ball and they're like, oh, who would ever say yes to that? It's because you wouldn't say yes to that. But that doesn't mean that they're not in a certain situation, which it actually makes a ton of sense for them to get the cash quick, get out of the situation. Like there's so many other factors than what most people are just looking at face value. And
real estate is so illiquid that sometimes you're the investor and you're like, man, I just wish I could get rid of this thing.
Oh my God,
and then,
been there.
Yeah.
Just take it.
The more that you're in that situation, then you're talking to the seller and they're like, listen, I'm an investor. Trust me, real estate sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
If I were you, I'd be trying to get out of this too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it sucks.
It's so funny that you say that. Cause like, we're in town obviously for like WealthCon, which I don't even fucking know what it's about really, but I think it's like real estate related. And is it?
It should be, I think. It should be. I went to WealthCon and then like, was I any better of a flipper or real estate investor from WealthCon? I don't think I was even 1% better. Well, I don't think I was 1% better.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we saw was like I mean, I don't want to shit on WealthCon or anything, but it was like, because none of the speakers are paid, and they talk about that on stage, I'm not even getting paid to be here. That means everybody's selling their own shit in their own platform, so they don't want to give up the goods, right? They didn't get paid to be here. So they want you, they're trying to say what they can so that you'll sign up for their course, you'll sign up for their mailing list, you'll sign up for their thing. So like nobody gives up anything worth value.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, we haven't been yet because today's day one and we went to the Hoover Dam and then we went to your house and have now recorded 2 podcasts and we're going to get food after this. So
that's value. Yeah.
Good value, right? But anyway, I think it all goes back to when you were like, real estate sucks. And I, love real estate for what it is, but like real estate sucks. And a lot of people think that it's cool, sounds cool, it's fancy and all that stuff. But like the day to day, it's like painful. There's really, really shitty situations. And what we were talking about before, it's like, why are there not more women investors? Yeah. And I think, I don't know for sure, but like, I think that because once you get in it, you realize that there's so many difficult conversations and like hard situations that are just not pleasant. And if it goes back, we're talking about the DISC assessment. Yeah. Like most women, this is such a generalization and I know I'm going to get hate for this, but like fall into the SC personality trait. So like in the DISC assessment, the D is like the drivers, like the ones who are like, I'm going to just get it done. I'll figure out the details on the way, like jump off the cliff, figure it out. The I is like more charismatic, the people. And then the S and the C. So the S is the ones who like stability. And then the C is the ones who like things to be like predictable, regulatory, like check every block. And women are generally the second two. And when you get into real estate investing, you realize that like nothing fucking goes as planned. That little checklist that you made, it's really great to keep you on track, but like curveballs left and right, whether it's repairs with a property or the seller situation or just pick up, find whatever the case may be. And then also the stability. It's like such an absolute roller coaster of I'm super rich one day, I'm broke as shit the next. Like I'm on a high, I got the deal. I'm on a low, it fell through. It's just one of those, I don't know, real estate can suck. Yes. Yeah. All that to say.
It absolutely sucks. What do you think we could do to get more women involved in investing? Because we think about that, like I host meetups. At the meetups, there's almost no young women. Yeah. And then you'll have, oh, now I don't want to shit on women, but okay, there's almost, there's no young women. There's like almost no young women. And then some of the younger women or women under 40 are all Asian, and we almost don't see anything from any other group other than younger Asian women. And then you'll have women older than 40 where then they start to get into investing. But like, what could we do to get more women and probably more specifically more young women into investing?
I think that's really challenging because I think that probably the reason why there's more older women than younger is because of the shift in priorities. So like, and it's hard to say because I think this also applies to younger men, but it's just like you have such a short-term thought process that the idea of investing something for the future, for 30 years from now, for your future self is hard because they're so caught up in the moment or whatever is important to their peer group, which is not investing. So I almost think it's like a maturity thing. I don't know though. Well,
we get a lot of bros at the investor events. Yeah. But that's because it's like young bro hustle mindset. I want to go and be a millionaire, but he's going to get a lot of social clout by doing that. Like a man is going to brag about that and talk about that. Yeah. To where I don't think that's something that's appealing to women. There's not a lot of women out there except for Lil Tay, who's like, look at how much money I got, flexing on the internet. Yeah. It's just not appealing.
Yeah, and men probably want to do it also to, not necessarily just to, but like to attract women. Whereas like women, if they were to make a lot of money and be hyper successful in this world, it's not necessarily the most commonly attractive quality that men are looking for. And I don't know. I mean, this is something that I do want to like soak on and sit on more. This is just like the spewing bullshit that's coming off the top of my conscience. So I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, they say that it is true. So there's like a whole concept of hypergamy, which is now I'm really going in the weeds.
Okay, I love this shit.
So there's hypergamy, which is like women for lack of a better term, women fuck up, men fuck down. And like, as men get more money, their options increase, right? Where when women get more money, their options decrease because they'll only date a guy who's more wealthier than her, more whatever than her, like taller, older, all that stuff. To where guys are generally going for, like, if a guy is super successful as a rapper or something, he has plenty of options. Jay-Z can get many women. Beyonce won't be with many men, even though Beyonce could get many men.
Taylor Swift has this problem.
Yeah, Taylor Swift. T-Swift can't date anyone unless they're a celebrity or an athlete or something. Where, who's the guy who she's with? Kelsey or something? Yeah, the Kelsey
Football
person.
Star.
Yeah.
Very successful in his own industry.
He could get any girl that he wants. You know, he happens to be with Taylor Swift, but Taylor Swift's options are very, very low.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it hurts their optionality.
Yeah, I just don't think it's cool for girls to do, but it is cool. The internet has made it cool. And the idea of having money for dudes. Yeah.
You know, it's a shame. I've always grown up with the mindset of like, while I was failing out of high school, I was reading books on flipping houses and books on investing, books on money, books on all of that. I wouldn't read a single book on English, as you can tell through my speech and how I write.
But terrible. I'm just kidding.
All my sentences are super choppy. I speak and write like bullet points. Okay. There's no beginning and end. But I was reading books on money and finances, no interest in school. Where am I even going with this? But yeah, but that's, hustle culture and all that. This is what I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. My mom would like say I drove by something and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to buy that one day. Like I broke down all the math to my mom where she was renting. There was 20 units in the apartment building going for $650 in rent in a house. And I'm like, okay, that's $13,000 a month in rent that this landlord's getting. Mom, why don't you just own the house? And she's like, Jay, it doesn't work like that. Why not? You could just buy it.
Yeah.
But
she's like, I've created a monster.
I broke that down at like 8 or 9 years old. But hustle culture is cool now. Gary Vee made hustle cool. Yeah. Rappers make hustle cool. That's in the culture.
Maybe we need a girl Gary Vee.
We do.
Or like a girl whoever. Someone like super cool, super relatable, who makes it something that women want to emulate.
Yeah. Women need their own Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Which
maybe that's it.
I think all the women who have any ambition are just going down a dark side of ambition and all that with the whole OnlyFans thing.
Oh, that's, yeah. Selling foot photos.
But it's like mortgaging your future. You can make a lot of short-term money, but now...
Oh, I was kidding. You're serious.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I live in Las Vegas. This is super relevant to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in Las Vegas, it's super relevant.
Yeah.
Insanely.
It's not in Lexington, Kentucky, where I currently live.
Yeah.
So
you live in Kentucky?
Dude, I moved. Surprise.
How did I not know you're in Kentucky?
Well,
so
I didn't
you
really
went.
Tell anyone. This is the first time. Look,
you went from Fayetteville to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And then when did you moved to Kentucky and why?
Moved to Kentucky on September 30th of this past year, 2023. And originally we were going to move. So I have never loved Charlotte. Like we moved there and it just wasn't everything that I dreamed it would be. And then, you know, my friends started moving other places and Drake and I, we bought a house in the fucking hood. I don't even know if you know this because the numbers worked. Yeah. We're like, let's do another burr in Charlotte. I've been doing them in Fayetteville.
Fucking investors, yeah.
And so then we bought this house and we ended up, this is a long ass story that you don't, I mean, we can, but we don't have to. Long story short, we ended up not refinancing it and renting it out. We ended up moving into it. And now we're living in the hood.
Yeah.
And it's all fun and games, like when you say it and then you live there and you're like, holy shit, like the dude in the wheelchair is trying to sell me like clear. I don't even fucking know what clear is. Like I'm scared.
Welcome to the hood.
Like I can't walk. There's barbed wire everywhere. The guy next door is like blaring his music. We like call the cops and the cops are like, we can't do anything. And he's like saying, he's like, fuck you guys. Like it's a whole thing. It's a great time. Wow. So anyway, we were like, we want to move. And I loved living in Washington. That was my first duty station in the Army. And like the trees, the nature, like everything. We were going to move there. That was the plan. Yeah. And then we went out to visit and it takes fucking forever to get from the East Coast to the West Coast. Like we were living this. We were like, we can't do this. Like our parents, everyone we know really closely is on the East Coast and we want to have kids here in the future. Who's going to take care of our kids for us? You know, who's our built-in babysitter? And so we're like, you know what? Let's move to Lexington because we have a lot of family in Lexington and it's still Eastern time zone.
Is there people in Lexington? Like what's the population of this?
There are people there, yes. Population, Drake. 300,000.
Okay.
It's a college town.
Nice.
Yeah, so it feels like it's like a small town vibe, but it has like big city amenities.
Which is good.
It's really good. We really, really like it.
Yeah. A lot of people think
they don't have OnlyFans as much there though.
Probably none. Yeah. Out here it's super prevalent. And like in a city like Las Vegas, you get all that riffraff, and in Southwest cities you get that. Yeah. The only thing is, like, I was really happy when Felice moved up to Charlotte because we're like, listen, what big shots live in Fayetteville? I mean, sure there is J. Cole, but like you don't see people who blow up in business or otherwise in Fayetteville. And so much of like, how many millionaires and billionaires do you know from New York City? How many from LA? Out here in Vegas, I could never leave the city and have a podcast every week with somebody who's doing something crazy because there's always, we attract like some really smart people. We also attract a lot of degenerates, but I mean like there's a lot of really smart people who make a lot of money in Las Vegas. Like, why is it that so many people have flipping shows? So many of the big flippers are from Vegas. Multiple people who wrote books on flipping are from Vegas. I might write another one, but then Mindy Jensen's like, Jay, there's no fucking money in this. And you're not doing it for the money, but you want to make a little bit, you know? You don't want to make like 10,000 off it. Right. Like, I'm not trying to be rich off a book, but give me something. Yeah, you know?
For sure.
I don't know. But that might be in the future here pretty soon. But it's because we live in a place where like,
it makes sense.
all the best flippers are here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really much of a coincidence to that. So like, do you guys know anybody who's like really successful out there in Kentucky? Like, do you have like peers who are?
Well, and we talked about that before we moved, and it's like,
oh, by the way, I thought you went to Charlotte to have more opportunity because Fayetteville is like a big little town.
Yeah, we did. And mostly just because I wanted to get out of Fayetteville.
Yeah.
Because like, it's such a military town, and you visited. It's kind of depressing.
It was weird.
It's fucking weird. Yeah. So I was just ready to get out of that, and I felt like Raleigh was too close, especially since I had like the traditional real estate team at this point, and I felt I did kind of want to distance myself from that because I just needed space. So the 2.5 hour, 3 hour felt like a good move. But the move to Kentucky, it wasn't for business, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the thing too, where it's like, ever since having all of the rentals and the huge real estate team and doing all of that, there was a lot of like, what do I actually want my life to look like? What do I actually care about? And I don't care as much about the absolute insane growth that I used to. I still like it, but I've shifted my perspective more of like a long time horizon. Yeah. And I know that over time, if I'm committed to the long run, I can still build relationships and grow in a way that I want to grow by having conversations online, also supplementing with conferences, supplementing with travel, but still go back to my day-to-day that feels most right to me.
As a flipper listening to this, and obviously, so I'm looking at everything in a flipping and wholesaling lens, I'm really interested of how things would look like if you guys took that on in Kentucky. Yeah. Because in Vegas, so many people have read books, watched shows, bought courses, and all that stuff on flipping that I feel like everybody in Vegas wants to be everyone in the world wants to be a flipper in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I feel like out there, you might have less competition because our deals are really competitive. And as far as people who call down notice of default list, call down notice of sale list, every person who's getting foreclosed on probably has like 20 phone calls a day until the day they get sold.
That's how Charlotte was too.
Yeah.
Charlotte was nuts. But I think it goes back to the lifestyle. It's like, we don't want to flip, you know, we don't really want to do transactions. Like the roller coaster, I'd much rather make less and do exactly what I want every day, knowing that if I keep doing that, it will have the growth that I'm looking for. It'll just take longer. And that's okay in exchange for the lifestyle that I'm looking for, which is so funny to say, because if you would have talked to the Shelby 2 years ago, I would have been like, fuck that, we're going as fast and hard, whatever way possible. Like, I don't care. You know, pain is just weakness leaving the body, the whole fucking thing. And it's just not the lifestyle that I want.
You were super hustle 2 years ago.
I was so hustle.
I was motivated because you say
I don't motivate you now.
Yeah, no, I mean you motivate me now. You motivate me now, but
okay, sure.
you were at my house with Alex Felice.
Yeah,
and then it's like every hour or something like that, you're getting a phone call from one of the realtors who are on your team.
You listen to me go out and like fucking counsel that person out by your pool, right?
Yeah, and that person was like a lot of trouble or causing some trouble. But the way in which you coached him was like listening to an all-star coach. I mean, it was a work of art of how you address the point, how you criticize, how you're like, here's the right option. You did it. You were on your grind. Like every moment of that trip.
Yeah. That was absolutely every bit of my life. And I still love pieces of that. So, I mean, we've talked about ways to integrate more of that back into the world because there's a part of me that's like 100% who I am. It's like, I am the leader and the developer of humans. Like that's a piece of me. It's just, I have to figure out how and when that comes into play in a way that I keep my own, I don't even know what to say. Like health is not the right word, but like I was just so much for so many other people that I was killing myself in the process.
Do you feel like in this process, because we talked about Big Five, DIS, Myers-Briggs 2 years ago.
Love that shit.
Have you retaken any of those in the past like 3 months to see if anything has changed?
So I recently retook Myers-Briggs and I'm still in ENTJ, but I have not taken the DISC assessment or Big Five. I don't think that they would have changed. Like I still think, but you know what? Maybe I will take them and I'll just send you the results. But like, I don't think my core personality has changed. I think it's more of, I had this like absolute fire from, almost a place of fear. Like, I don't know. I felt like I had to prove it to myself. And also like there was the Army and the fear of failure kind of all built into that. But I've kind of gotten to a place where I feel like I've proved so much to myself that I don't feel like I have to work that hard every single day. Like
the anxiety of leaving the Army, of if you're not successful at this new thing, then you have to go back to the Army.
Something like
and you
that.
won't let that happen.
Yeah.
Because with me as a realtor, by the way, like when I left the casino industry for being a realtor, I'm like, whatever happens, I cannot fail. And I went out every single day trying to do it. Didn't really have much of a life otherwise because I'm like, I have to do this.
Totally.
And there's no weekly paycheck. There's no monthly paycheck.
Right.
So if I fail, I'm really failed.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then also there was like that social pressure too of like, when you do put yourself out there, you don't want to fail for that reason as well. But I do think that for me, at least, there came to a point where like I had enough evidence of proving to myself that like I'm no longer controlled by the social pressure. I'm no longer consumed by the fear because even if I did lose everything, I'm very confident that I could rebuild and like, you know, make money based on the skill sets. And so it's just, although I find a lot of fulfillment in progress and in like fucking productivity, it's just, I won't choose to do things that I don't want to do anymore. I don't know if any of that fucking made sense, Jay Mirando.
Well, I'm trying to see where that would fit in on one of the personality tests, if they would find that. So like when I take these tests nowadays versus like 5-10 years ago, is like my openness consistently has dropped because it's not like, oh yeah, the gator lending's the way to do it. This is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. I'm like older, but I've spent so much time thinking about things to where like my openness, especially when I test on openness, it has decreased substantially.
Right. Because you've already thought
I know what the fucking right answer is.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's no, you know, oh, you could do this with clients. You could do this with clients. You know, if it's on the realtor side of thing, no, you just do this. Okay. Yeah. You do this or you walk away. Don't try to make something work that doesn't work. Don't fit a square in a circle. You just do it or you don't. And you can walk away.
Yeah.
But I consistently test less on that. And I think I was surprised with how I tested on something a while ago versus one of my tests from like 5 years ago. Because I have screenshots of my Myers-Briggs.
Me too. Yeah.
You know, from like 2017 or something.
Yeah. That's the Big Five is one that I hadn't even considered retesting. And that one, the last time I took, my openness was fucking huge, like off the charts and open. So now I kind of want to go back and I'll test that one.
Yeah.
I think Disc and Myers-Briggs are probably, I mean, Myers-Briggs is ENTJ still.
Yeah. Those things are more of your core personality that don't really change as much as you get older. Where like for the big five and stuff like that, those are things to where like, I think that Myers-Briggs might change maybe like within 5 percentage points.
Sure.
You know, like the older you get, you'll probably be less extroverted, maybe by like 5 points or 10 points, but
that has happened.
Yeah.
I much more prefer the time by myself. Yeah, because in the beginning I was like, I want to know what everyone else thinks. That's how I'm learning all these experiences, how I'm learning. And kind of like what you said, now I'm like, I've learned some things. Always more to learn. Always. But don't need it at the rate.
Yeah, you don't need to talk to everybody, just like the right people.
Yeah.
You know, these are the people who are interesting.
For sure.
Yeah. So we talked about how you got all the rentals and you acquired it on the front end, which we still didn't say because it was the burn method. But out of all the ways to get your leads, was it MLS lead gen or court steps or like?
It was different.
Wholesalers?
MLS, wholesalers. I called signs, you know, like I got 9 doors off of one shitty for rent sign that was handwritten. I was like, that guy hates being a landlord. Yeah. And so that, and then a lot were from the courthouse foreclosures. Those were great back in the day in Fayetteville. I'm trying to think about what else. Those are, I mean, the primary.
And in Fayetteville, do you have to pay right then there, or do you get a week to close?
No, it's a bidding system. So you have to put 5% down in cash when you submit the bid. And then there's a 10-day upside bid period. And then if you win it at that point, you have to buy it in cash or a form of cash. And so
within
we would use
how long?
I think from that point until close, it was like a normal closing period. It depended on like the courthouse attorney's processing time. I think it ended up being like 30 days. So we'd have 30 days to figure out like lines of credit, or I mean, what I had like my mom, my brother, I had multiple people get lines of credit once I maxed mine out. And then I would just pull from their lines. It's fine.
It's cool.
And then pay them some like thank you on the back end.
It all works out.
What else? I did a lot of weird things to get money. However, kind of like you said, like if the deal is there, I'm going to fucking figure out how to get the money for it. That's not the problem.
And it's easier for me now that I have assets, because now it's like just put a lien on one of my other properties.
Yeah.
And now I can get the money.
Yeah.
So you were borrowing money from everybody. So in Las Vegas, when you buy a deal at the courthouse steps, you have to pay for it in cash with cashier's checks right then and there. You don't get, so that's why I never buy them there.
We had a lot of time to figure it out.
Because I could have just gotten a hard money loan in that period of time.
They had a rule. So like we couldn't actually just get a loan because you weren't allowed to have a lien against the property. There was something like that where it like had to be cash in their eyes, which is why it either was cash or it was lines of credit. I'm trying to think about like what else.
think I could talk to the escrow officer and be like, hey, we're going to do a 1 day cash here. Yeah. And then the very next day have it all be refied out. Because I could probably talk to Kiavi or something like that and be like, listen, we're going to put this cash here and then refi it out the very next day with you guys.
Yeah.
But you still need the money up front, which is scary.
Totally.
Yeah. But at least in Fayetteville, it was like 70,000 or
Oh, you mean in the beginning?
Yeah.
5%? I can't math.
Oh, no. I mean like for the total sales price.
Total sales price, those like foreclosures were like 50,000.
50,000.
Yeah. 40, awesome. All the way up to like 70, I think was the most I paid for one.
So after those, when did you start selling them off? And then like the ones right now are presumably more profitable, but you're just keeping it all in an escrow account or like just in the bank account and you don't touch it? Because you are making money off it, of course.
Yeah, we're making until you have the $50,000 from, you know, the one property, and then your cash flow for the next how many years is wiped. Yeah. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I acquired like rapidly in 2018 until 2020. That's where I got like all of my deals. And then 2021 was like I closed out anything that was short-term. Like I had some ARMs, like adjustable rate mortgages. And so I went through and I like cleaned up like any renovations that needed finalizing, any short-term debt, you know, I refinanced and put it into long-term fixed rates for 30 years, or identified those two properties, well, two portfolios that I wanted to sell, and ended up selling one, the 21 unit portfolio, the end of 2021. Yeah, that's
good
right.
timing.
And then, yeah, exactly. So the timing is exactly like it worked out. And then the other one was in the very beginning of 2022. So
Very
got
good
those
timing.
off the fucking plate. And then I had all of my shit, you know, renovated and in 30-year fixed. All of my like, because man, there was a time where I had so much going on with all of the different, you know.
Well, you were wild. You were so like, you were
God.
competitive. You were one of the most.
Very competitive human in my core. Still am. But yeah, and so then in 2022, got those off. And 2022 was a year where Drake and I did a lot of direct-to-seller marketing, and we did
And Drake's your husband.
Yes, he's right. He's behind this camera.
Yes.
That way. Okay. Anyway, we did that, and we did wholesales and flips. And after that year, we're like, you know, 2022 got weird at the end of it. We were just like, I don't fucking want to do this anymore. And then we didn't, you know?
When did you start slowing down on the realtor side of things?
Yeah, I stopped. Okay, so 2018, I was all by myself, solo agent, 48 deals. And then 2019 is when I started 5 Pillars Realty Group, like the traditional team.
And that was within EXP?
Within Keller Williams in the beginning, and then we shifted to EXP. So at EXP since May of 2019. And the team leader role is what you saw me doing, where more I was like giving out leads. I was still doing listings.
Yeah.
I did listings until 2021. And I would still sell like 40 listings in a year when I was like leading and acquiring. It was fucking weird. I have no idea how all of that happened. Like looking back now, I'm like, that's a lot. All of that is a lot.
If you're a realtor in Vegas who's doing like 40 listings, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge numbers.
And it was super leveraged though too, because by that point I had, you know, my listing coordinator where I would go to the listing appointment, hand over all of what needs to happen, and they would execute everything, like to the point where getting quotes for contractors, dealing directly with the seller, all of the disclosures, all of the photos, the measurements, all of that stuff until it went live. And then it would go live. We'd get a flood of fucking offers, 2021, you know, like crazy. Yeah. And then we'd, you know, pick the most, and then we'd go over to my TC and they would do contract to close. And like every listing took like a total of 3 or 4 hours on my part.
Oh, awesome.
It was just amazingly leveraged.
And did you have to listen to them cry like once a week or something like that? Or
my admin?
Your
or the seller?
The seller, yeah. But in 2021,
really.
they're selling, they're getting the price they want. There's nothing that's not going. If anything, everything would exceed expectations massively because real estate go burr, you know, like.
My admin were also like incredible. So they were the right people that you would set the expectations at the listing appointment where it's like, it's not just me, we're the team, and you know, they're amazing, you're going to love them. And then the seller has that moment when they first meet them of judgment. Is this person really? And then if they're blown away, they're like, great. And they're so happy and they don't, you know, need me. So anyway, you asked when I stopped doing that. It was really 2021 where I stopped. Like I did some listings in 2022, very, very rarely. And I think this past year I did.
But so when people call you up, like, do you still? No. You just hand it off to your team and all that. I
refer it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't say no. Like, I mean, I'm a flipper. I always have my flipper hat on, wholesaler hat on, but I feel like, especially with my transaction coordinator, I could take on 100 listings.
Yeah.
No problem. Yeah. And because of the team, they're doing a lot of the work anyways. And if it is the negotiating, you should have me be the one who does it. Okay. I should be doing negotiating, and there should definitely 100%. Be somebody else who is
doing the paperwork,
being organized.
Being organized?
Yeah. That's not my skill set. If you want someone to be the best negotiator for you, here I am. Yeah. I always answer my phone. I'm always good, but
no. Yeah. And so I'm not doing them. And I don't mind listings. I just, again, going back to lifestyle, I think it goes back to the phone too. It's like, I really like the lifestyle I have now where I don't fucking care about my phone. Like there's nothing that, you know, when you have clients, you feel obligated. Yeah. You know, and I just really like the feeling of not.
I answer my phone no matter what. If it calls,
I have no idea even where my phone is. It's always on Do Not Disturb. Like it's just not I don't know.
Wow.
It's nice.
That's
It's very
big.
peaceful.
And then do you still work with your team? Because at EXP, like just break it down for everybody, within like back in the day, whoever owned the brokerage made all the money. Then it got to the point where 100% brokerages were the norm. And right now, there's still 100% brokerages. Nobody's taking splits otherwise. And then part of some of the brokerages, they have it to where they'll do like a split thing, but it's the person who recruited you who got it. It's a bit of a network marketing thing.
Yeah.
But that's the real estate model of the future, because then the people who do the business and the people who got you in do all the training, and you're incentivized to learn from or the people who are coaching you are incentivized to give you everything. Totally. So like I'm a part of Real, that's the same model as EXP.
Yep.
And then the people who are above me within this model are doing like hundreds of sales a year. I have 2 people, or like 3 of the people in my upline make more than $1 million fucking dollars a year being a realtor.
Yeah.
Being a realtor, which is so hard to do.
Right.
And if I want to talk to them, because they make money off me if I do something, they'll actually answer the phone.
Totally.
To where when I was in my last company, if somebody's a top producer and I ask them a question,
they'd be fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Who are you? Right? Like they don't care. Like they don't want to tell you actually. Like not only why would they, but they specifically don't want you to know, to where when you're within this model, which by the way, I was recruited into network marketing when I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
I got more and better training from network marketing at 18 than you'll ever get at the Wealthy Way conference, because they wanted you to succeed. Better sales training, better marketing, better mindset stuff.
Yeah.
Because they weren't just selling their own thing from stage.
Right. Yeah.
Not to poo-poo on that.
Not to poo-poo on them.
But like within EXP, now that's kind of like how you're living.
I love it. It's so great.
Yeah.
And that's when I've never been like a EXP, like shout from the
You've
rooftops.
never said it.
I never do.
You never said it. But I want to get that out there so that, you know.
I love it because I worked really fucking hard on my agent business, on 5 Pillars Realty Group, like the traditional team, and built like a ton of systems, just got so many reps and so much knowledge on both the investor side of the house, the investor agent persona, being a traditional retail agent, that I had so much of it mapped out and so much value that I wanted to help people with, but I didn't want the level of responsibility I had over agent success and failure that I had when I was the team leader. Yeah. Because with the 50-50 splits came like a huge responsibility to them. Like I'm going to help you everything that I can to make you successful. And then it was responsibility that was on my shoulders and not theirs. And that's something that I have a big problem with. I think that the responsibility should always remain on the individual's shoulders. Yeah. That also, I had all these fucking leads that I would give out and they would just fuck away. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, all that to say, the team model does work. I'm looking at Drake. He hates when I talk bad about teams. The team model can work for some people.
Why does he not like talking about teams?
Because he wants me to start another team. Yes, he does. That's okay. That's a whole nother for another day. But anyway, the reason why I love EXP is because it allowed me to shut down all of the pieces that I didn't like and keep all of the ones I loved. I could keep all of the systems and stuff we built over the years. And I love like one-on-one talking through problems with people, helping them solve it, giving them, you know, hey, have you considered trying this with your negotiations? But then when the call's over, it's on them to execute. It's not my fucking problem. I don't need to follow up and make sure that, did you make your calls today? Like be a fucking grown up, you know? And so it let me keep all of this. And we have our team meetings and we go to team trips and we go on retreats and we like do all of this shit that's so fun and fulfilling for me. And I don't have to charge them anything. I say, hey, this is it's all free if you are through EXP. But now actually we've opened it up because there's so many people outside of EXP who are like, I really want to be a part of 5 Pillars Nation. We have so many cool things. Interesting. And so we very recently, I haven't even like publicly announced this to the world. But yeah, so now it's like, if you're at Real or if you're at one of those 100% brokerages and you don't want to leave, that's totally fine. We do have an option for people to join that's outside of EXP at this point.
Interesting. And you're very much built for those conversations And then I had a team once too. And then I'm giving people leads. They can't close it for shit.
God. Yeah.
You're accountable. And then the one time that they do get a sale, then they left my team
because they don't want to
that
split
day
it
because they don't want to split it.
Right.
And then they're like, we're going to make 100% on this. Like the first time they brought anything in themselves.
Yeah.
So the first time they did anything themselves, then they leave so that they could go in and get all the money somewhere else.
Preaching to the choir.
So it's heart-wrenching for me. I poured so much into them. I taught them everything. And then that's when I gave up on having the team. So my email is still mirandoteam at gmail.com.
Team of one.
But it's team of one. Yeah. But I'm never changing the email because there's too much that goes to the email. But it was Mirando team because there was a Mirando team. And then I fucking gave up on it.
Yeah.
Because it's terrible.
I tried for years. I really did. And like the startup, like the people who were there from the beginning were great.
Realtors switch shit all the time. Even when they're semi-successful, they'll have like 15 deals a year. Realtors are still switching companies every 1-2 years. And they're like, oh, when I was at Berkshire, they didn't give me anything. When I was at Keller Williams, they didn't do this. When I was at Century 21, they didn't do that.
It's always the other person's fault. It's not them. Like, because honestly, you don't need anything from your fucking firm because YouTube University has everything. Google has everything you need. But the one thing flip side of that is, you know, if they join an organization with someone they trust, this is, I think that one of the things they're trying to get is filter.
Yeah.
Because there is so much out there and it is completely overwhelming that if they do have one person who's like, no, just pay attention to this, they're like, okay.
So I'll say that if you're on a team, then being a part of a really good group or team or something like that is really beneficial, especially to give you guidance. As far as the name of your brokerage or anyone who expects their broker to do anything for them, you could hang your license at Shitface LLC. You'll get the same amount of sales as you would at like Century 21, Berkshire, whatever. It doesn't matter the name of your brokerage.
Right.
It matters of you.
Totally.
And if you're at a team that really, really does something and delivers, then that's something else. But it's you or the team. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's 90% you, even if you're on the team.
Yeah, totally. And I say that too, like back in the day when we had the traditional team, we still had the office and everyone wants an office. No one actually goes. That's a whole different story. But, you know, people are always looking, agents, they're like, well, I want the team environment or I want other people to be working alongside. Well, the thing is, real estate is an individual sport. Even if you have the team and you are working side by side, like no one can do the work for you. You still have to do the work. And that is an individual effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think that people are always looking for something that's more comfortable than what they're experiencing, but real estate is uncomfortable.
But the only way to make something without doing anything is being in a model like EXP or Real.
Yeah.
Where if you do recruit people and then they do something, you actually get something from it.
Dude.
Where at my last company, I was there for 6 years. I didn't try to recruit anybody to that company because they didn't give me anything for it. But there was like 8 to 10 people who joined that company only because of me. I didn't get a fucking t-shirt. I didn't get a mug.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything for it. They didn't increase any marketing dollars.
Yeah.
I didn't get shit from that company. I even own 1/8 of that company's group in Utah. I don't get anything from them, but now I'm getting things now that I'm part of it.
Yeah.
So like
it's really
I
cool.
can't preach enough. I can't preach enough that why wouldn't you do it?
Totally.
If you could make money in a way that you weren't making money off of
and help
before.
other people. Yeah, like I made, 2 years ago I made $50,000 off of revenue share. This past year I made $75,000 off of revenue share. And the cool thing is it's literally like I just get to help people. They don't have to pay me anything directly and the firm is the one who compensates me. Like how fucking cool is that?
Awesome.
And hopefully this year it just like keeps increasing by.
And you're doing all the training for the firm so that their costs are low. Because then the firm would have to have sales trainers. The firm would have to have, your brokerage would have to have sales trainers or broker or whatever meetings for all that. So they have the best and smartest people in the business doing the training for them.
Totally.
Yeah, I like it.
Me too.
But so where can people find you?
Oh, where can people find me? Well, you can find me on The Shelby Show on Instagram. That's probably the best place because from there you can find everything else. But also fivepillarsnation.com and definitely check out The Agent Goldmine and Real Estate Rockstars. Those are the 2 podcasts that I host and co-host and they're for real estate agents focused. But yeah. So those are the places.
Well, I had a lot of fun having you on. Thank you.
Likewise.
Yes.
This is your outro where you're like, what
this
do
the
I,
outro
what do I
piece.
do with my hands?
What do I do? I don't know how to close out a podcast ever.
This is
fuck.
Yeah. Hey, be a bro and share this show.
Oh. Am I stealing that from somebody else? Is that copyright?
Literally from me.
Be a bro and share the show. You're not allowed to say bro because you're a girl. Okay, I be a bro and share the show.
That came from the Agent Goldmine. Fuck. No, I just blew it. It's fine. Okay, we're done.
I took it.
Yeah.
All right.
We did it.